just got some data and that's listed there. Now let's go to a different page, and you see that the exact same module has completely different data. So the state of an instance belongs to just that instance. However, the structure that the instance uses is the same across all instances. All right. And I have yet another page called New Listings, just so you can see that we have different sets of data for each one of these. And let's go to the duplicate page, where we have the exact same data as we have on the listing demo page. So these two pages are identical. Now, we don't have absolutely any settings set yet. So let's look at the settings page and see what we can customize. Things that we can customize about this page are the thumbnail width, how many items to show on a page, direction, number of columns to show, whether to use a flow layout or a table layout, just a variety of things that you might want to customize about your module. And these are just some examples. Of course, for your custom module, you'll have different types of settings. So let's look at how the different types of settings available in DNN affect this module. We talked about site settings, we talked about module instance settings, and we talked about module reference settings, or tab modules. And I'd like to explain how the different instances, how the different settings apply to my module. Tab module settings are probably the most, restrictive, and they apply to just this instance of the module that's displayed on this page. The module settings apply to this module instance and all the references that it includes. So if we go back to the presentation, the listing module here, the listing reference here, if I customize the tab settings for it, it will affect just this particular instance. If I customize settings at the module level, then it will affect this instance and both of these references. Now, there is no setting specific for just the module definition. Site settings affect all modules on this particular portal. So, as a note of caution, if you create a site setting, name it appropriately. We would name it, for example, arrow underscore site setting name, because if people install different modules from different vendors and they all use the same, setting name, then they might create a conflict. So it's best to select a name that's unique to your company. All right. So let's go back to the demo, and let's see how these settings affect our modules. I'm going to say here at the top. Let's see if I can increase the size. Here at the top I have sort of a selection that allows me to direct what the settings that I'm saving apply to. So first of all, we're going to save some site settings. And for the site settings, I'm going to select only 4 items per page. And I would like to see them in 2 columns. And as you can see, it affected my listing demo page. It affected the duplicate listing page, and it affected my new settings or new listing page. So it affected all my modules. Now let's go and go back to the listing demo and set some module instance settings. Okay, so for this page, let's say I want to see 6 items per page. And they appear as, in a vertical layout. Now, if you look here, this affected the duplicate listings as well. It affected my entire module instance with all its references, but it did not affect the new listings. So the module settings or the module instance settings affect all the references for which I set them. Now let's say that this duplicate listings wants something different. It doesn't want things to come up and down. It wants them to go across the items. So I can come back in here, go back to this module reference only, and say I want the page direction to be horizontal. And now I have test 1, test 2, they go across just for this reference. My listing demo still goes up and down. So you can see how settings build on top of each other, and even though I have the same exact settings set at both the site level, at the module level, and the module instance, or the tab module level, they all sort of are brought together through a prioritization, and the highest priority is for the tab settings, then the next highest priority is for module settings, and then the site settings are last. Settings are stored in these 3 different tables in .NET. We have the host settings, and tables are very simple. You know, they just basically have a setting name, a value, and well, for the host one, it indicates whether it's secure or not. But for module settings and tab module settings, they're almost identical. The module ID identifies obviously the module you're talking about, and setting name and setting value are just a key value pair. Now, you know, if you're wondering where are the site settings, the site settings are actually conveniently stored in the module settings. For every site that's created, there's a module called site settings that's added to the, you know, to the site, and any settings attached to the site settings module are actually the site settings. So let's take a look at the database, and we'll see that for the site settings, here are all the settings that I saved. There are no other settings right now. And they apply to this module ID called 354, which is the site setting module. If we look at the list of modules, you know, that's the site setting module. Also, if you look at the modules definition table, you will see that, you know, the same settings that I had saved are here, and also you'll find them in the tab module settings. Now, what are the limitations with using .NET Nuke settings in your custom application? Well, they can only contain a maximum of 2,000 characters. Now, that's more than adequate for most settings that you'll have. However, in some of our applications, we ran into some limitations where we wanted to say, for example, an entire email template that could be added as a response to, let's say, somebody signing up for your website. And we exceeded the number of characters available. So we tried to find a solution for that problem. Now, there are several solutions you can implement. Of course, one of the solutions is to modify the core by modifying the field and switching the nvarchar to nvarchar max or an n-text, and that would be probably the simplest solution. However, the drawback of that solution is that every time you upgrade your .NET installation, you have to remember to reapply your settings. And you know, if you make such changes to the core, in general, you'll have a lot of things to remember and upgrade and retest. So another option is to create an independent solution for each time you encounter this kind of a problem. And yet another solution is to create a generic solution that will solve this, this problem for all your future needs. So what we chose to do is create 2 separate tables called module settings, or error nuke module settings, and tab module settings, where the only change that you see is by using an nvarchar max here. Now, if in the future, you know, this is implemented in the core, then, you know, this will no longer be needed. But this is the solution that we chose to go with. And I will try to